Good morning students. Today we are going to take up some multiple choice questions. So first question is in front of you on the screen. It reads as the Indian Contract Act extends to option A the whole of India, option B the whole of India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Yes. Yes, the right answer is A. As the words except the state of Jammu and Kashmir have been omitted by the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019, and this has been done with effect from 31st October 2019. Moving forward to second question. An agreement which is enforceable by law at the option of one or more of the parties thereto, but not at the option of the other or others is, yes, option A, an illegal agreement, option B, an unenforceable agreement, option C, a voidable contract, and option D, an implied contract. Yes, think over it. Yes, you are correct. The right option is option C. It's a definition of voidable contract as given under section 2 clause I of the act. Yes, the third statement, an agreement by way of wager is, yes, what's the right answer? Okay, yes, right option is option A. So an agreement by way of wager is void. Yes, that is by virtue of section 30 of the Indian Contract Act. An offer made to the world at large is called A, a specific offer, B, a social offer, C, a standing offer, and D, a general offer. Yes. Are you able to recall a landmark judgment? Yes. Carlyle versus Carbolic Smokeball Company Limited. Yes, popularly known as Smokeball case, where it was made amply clear that general offer is an offer made to the world at large. Fifth, consideration must move at the desire of option A, promisee, option B, any third party, option C, promiser, and option D, anybody. So what's the right answer? Yes, the right answer is option C. When we refer to the definition of consideration under section 2 clause D, there we see that consideration must move at the desire of the promiser, though it may move from promisee or any other person. Yes, sixth one, an agreement with a minor is A, illegal, B, voidable, C, valid, and D, void ab initio. Yes. What are you reminded of? Okay, yes, Mohri Bibi versus Dharmodas Ghosh. That's the landmark judgment where it was established that an agreement with a minor is void ab initio and inoperative against him. Now the next question, a contract is an agreement. Which option is the correct option? Yes, 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 all of you are correct. Option A is the right answer. A contract is an agreement enforceable by law. And yes, it is the definition of contract given under section 2 clause H of the Indian Contract Act. Eighth, an unlawful detaining or threatening to detain property of a person to obtain his consent amounts to A. Misrepresentation, B. Coercion, C. Fraud, D. Undue influence. Yes. Do you recall the definition of coercion given under section 15? What does it say? It says coercion means what? Coercion means committing or threatening to commit any act forbidden by the Indian Penal Code, or unlawful detaining or threatening to detain. Yes. You are correct. So, here option B is the correct choice. Now next, the basis of quasi-contract. What are the basis of quasi-contract? Quasi-contracts are what? Quasi-contracts are certain relations resembling to those of created by contract. And the basis of such contract is A. Agreement, B. Misrepresentation, C. Intention to enter into contract, and D. Doctrine of no unjust enrichment. Yes. And the right answer is option D. Doctrine of no unjust enrichment. As the quasi-contracts are based on the principle that nobody can enrich himself at the expense of the others. So there is no agreement between the parties. Okay. But rights and obligations in case of quasi-contract are imposed by law. Okay. Moving forward to next question. Section 28 of the Indian Contract Act, which was amended by Indian Contract Amendment Act 1996, was again amended by, yes, the options are IBC 2016, that is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, and B, the Banking Laws Amendment Act 2012. Yes, what is Section 28 of the Indian Contract Act? What does it contain of? Yes. It relates to agreements in restraint of legal proceedings. Yes. What kind of amendment was made? Amendment was made by adding one more exception. And this exception has been added by, yes, option B is the right choice, by the Banking Laws Amendment Act 2012. Now, a contract stands discharged by A. Performance, B. Mutual agreement, C. Breach, and D. All of the above. So, you have studied about discharge of contract. The most common way by which the contract is discharged is, yes, by performance of contract. Yes. Mutual agreement also. What are you try to recall? Okay, yes, novation, alteration, etc. There may be a number of ways in which parties may agree mutually for discharge. Yes, by novation, by alteration. Yes. Fine. Breach. What is breach? And what are various types of breach? Yes, you remember? Actual breach and anticipatory breach. Okay. So, A, B, C, all are modes of discharge of contract. So, what will be the right answer here? Yes, the right choice will be option D, because all of the above are the modes by which contract stands discharged. Yes, the damages awarded by way of punishment are called, yes, what are the options? Special damages, ordinary damages, exemplary damages, Nominal damages. Yes. What do we mean by nominal damages? Yes, damages which are granted only for the namesake. It's a no loss situation. And ordinary damages can be claimed as a matter of right. And what about special damages? Special damages only when these are in contemplation of parties. Contemplation means knowledge of parties. Okay. Yes, the doctrine on which the assessment of damages is based is compensation. So general rule is compensation, but as an exception, in case of exemplary damages, the damages are awarded by way of punishment. Do you remember a situation when courts may grant exemplary damages? Okay. Fine. So right answer is option C. Exemplary damages are damages which are awarded by way of punishment. Now 13, it says a finder of goods assumes the position of A, owner, B, bailee. Yes, the right choice is B, bailee, and that is specified under section 71 of the Act. The person who gives the guarantee is called the A, creditor, B, principal debtor, C, surety, and D, none of the above. Yes, the person who gives the guarantee is called the surety. You remember that there are 3 parties in a contract of guarantee, while there are 2 parties in a contract of indemnity. And the person who gives the guarantee is called the surety in a contract of guarantee. Yes, that is specified under section 126 of the Act. Yes, moving further to next question. Goods under Sale of Goods Act do not include shares, goodwill, actionable claims, patents. So what's the right choice? Okay, all of you know the answer of this. Yes, you are correct. The right choice is C, that is actionable claims. From where did you deduce it? Yes, from the definition of term goods under section 2 clause 7, where it is mentioned that goods do not include actionable claims. Yes. The Sale of Goods Act deals with A, sale of immovable property, B, sale of movable property. Yes, the right choice is B, because sale of immovable property is governed by Transfer of Property Act and not by the Sale of Goods Act. Yes, the property in goods means, yes, you know the right answer. The right answer is C, ownership of goods. So LLP Act, you have studied LLP Act 2008. Yes, you have studied the features of LLP. So statement is LLP does not have this feature: A, separate legal entity, B, perpetual succession, C, body corporate, D, mutual agency among partners. Yes, what's the right answer? Right choice is option D. Yes, there is no mutual agency among partners in case of LLP. So that was the shortcoming in traditional partnership firm, because in traditional partnership firm there is mutual agency among partners, but there is no mutual agency among partners in case of limited liability partnership. Moving further, yes, partnership firm can be converted into LLP under provisions of, what's the right answer? First schedule, second schedule, third schedule, fourth schedule. You know, 4 schedules are attached to the LLP Act. Yes. First schedule speaks of what? First schedule contains set of terms applicable in absence of any agreement among partners on such matters. And second schedule, yes, you rightly remember that second schedule contains provisions for conversion of firm into LLP. So the right answer is option B, second schedule. Because third schedule speaks of what? It contains provisions relating to conversion of private company into LLP, and fourth schedule speaks of provisions relating to conversion of unlisted public company into LLP. So the right answer is option B. Yes, the last question is from the Information Technology Act 2000. Yes, the controller of certifying authority. What's that authority? It's the authority appointed by the central government. What does it do? A. What are the options available with us? A. Grants license. B. Renews license. C. Revokes license. D. All of the above. Yes. The right option is option D. Because controller of certifying authority grants license to issue electronic signature certificates. Yes. It renews the license of certifying authorities. It revokes the license of certifying authorities. That means A, B, C, all of the above. And the right choice will be D, because D is inclusive of all of the above. Thank you. Have a nice day. Hope you enjoyed the session. Take care. Bye.